Yeah, baby.
Article from Pathios. When I was on the verge of becoming an alcoholic mum, by Katie Paulson, August 23, 2018. I am an adult with ADHD and anxiety. For most of my life, I have self-medicated with alcohol. When I became a mother, my anxiety increased to uncomfortable levels. After a long day watching my son, I relied on a glass of wine to calm my nerves. Other mums around me did the same things. Playdates always involved alcohol. Our kids ran amok as we tossed back cocktails. Drinking felt normal to me. After waking up too many weekends with pounding headaches, I realised something was very wrong in my life. My years of anxiety had forced me to turn to self-medicating with alcohol. I knew I was on the verge of becoming an alcoholic and I had to quit. My husband and I always enjoyed sharing a bottle of full-bodied red wine. Cabernets and spicy Spanish reds were our favourites. When we built a home in 2013, we added a wet bar in our basement. The bar included racks for wines. I looked forward to collecting and storing wine. I envisioned us drinking moderately. However, any time we brought more than a few bottles of wine, our rack was empty within a week. The more wine we brought, the more wine we drank, and we were never able to have alcohol in our home and not drink. Neither of us could ever drink one glass of wine. Once one of us started drinking, we enabled one another to drink more. Together, we could polish off a bottle or two of wine on a weekend night. Both of us struggled with anxiety, depression, and attention deficit issues. Drinking calmed both of our nerves. Our lives were stressful. My husband's full-time job gave him anxiety. A glass or two of wine helped him unwind. I left my job to care for our son. My son's care exhausted me. At night, the only way I imagined letting go of my stress was by reaching for a glass of wine. Our neighbourhood made binge drinking easy and accessible. We moved to a small town in 2013. Neighbours had parties and bonfires in the summers. Adults sat around the fire binge drinking until the early hours of the morning. No one talked about the effect the drinking might have on our kids. Adulting and socialising meant we all got to drink and get tipsy together. The following morning, I would wake up with a killer hangover. Instantly, I felt stupid for drinking so much the night before. My son needed me to be at my best, and I could barely function. My husband's temper was short-fused. Both of us walked like zombies through the weekend. Our son may not have understood why we didn't feel right, but he knew that something wasn't right. Our turning point came when my husband started homebrewing mead. Mead is a honey wine. He enjoyed finding recipes and drinking his creations. His hobby meant we had a lot of alcohol in our home. Our cabinets became filled with mead. We both started consuming mead faster than we realised. To keep up with our consumption, he made more and more wine. Eventually, I realised we had a huge problem. On a March evening, both of us sat in our house. Our whole family ended up with influenza. While ordinary people use time of illness to rest and recover, we didn't take a break from drinking. When I was drinking while I was sick, I knew I had to stop. Since early March, my husband and I have lived relatively alcohol-free. My husband gave up drinking completely. He knew his family background with alcoholism meant he needed to completely be abstinent. The first few weeks were challenging. I distinctly remember feeling stressed out on a Friday evening. My first inclination at the time was to reach for a drink. When I realised my first reaction to stress was to drink, I knew I had developed a terrible habit. I coped with everything in my life by drinking. If my husband and I fought, I drank. When I got bad news from one of my son's doctors, I drank wine. On nights out with friends, I drank to unwind and decompress. My sole coping mechanism had become alcohol. For my entire adult life, I abused alcohol to cope. For close to 20 years, I had an extremely unhealthy relationship with alcohol. Binge drinking became my weekend normal. I lived in a world where everyone around me drank excessively. Because I didn't have friends that drank responsibly, I found it easy to justify my consumption. When I realised I had developed a bad habit, I worked with my doctor to get my ADHD and anxiety under control. My drinking habits directly related to the amount of stress I felt on a daily basis. I knew that ADHD had put me at a higher risk for alcohol and drug dependence. Alcohol and drugs release dopamine that my body craves and lacks due to ADHD. My doctor helped me understand the importance of continuing my medication. She also directed me not to drink so the medicines could do their job. Oh, did she say that, did she? Well, that's changed now, because apparently now the narrative is that her doctor told her she can drink on her meds, which is false. Everyone knows you're not meant to drink on your medication. When I stopped drinking, I realised my medications worked better. I had better focus, less stress and more energy. Deciding to quit binge drinking wasn't easy. However, I'm glad I decided to put my health, marriage and son first. You are still drinking to this day. You've never even gone through the 12 steps. Still an alcoholic. What kind of bullshit? Stop lying to yourself. My husband and I are approaching our 6-month anniversary since we stopped binge drinking. Today, we both continue to work with our doctors to manage our mental health. Both of us understand we must stay on our ADHD medications. Leaving our ADHD untreated for years rendered us dependent on alcohol to elevate our symptoms. Today, our mental health is our priority. Our son has parents that are present, happy and healthy. Last March, I was on the verge of becoming an alcoholic. Now I am healthy, comfortable and able to cope with my anxiety. My husband and I are better parents to our son because we quit drinking. Bullshit, no you didn't. You can't just quit cold turkey. It doesn't happen like that. You said you've been drinking for over 2 decades of your life, for 20 years plus. It's not something that you can just wake up and go, I'm going to stop drinking now. Stop lying to yourself. You need help. You should have gone through the 12 steps. You should love and care for yourself enough that you would want that for yourself. Instead, you lie to yourself and say that you have fixed it yourself. You haven't. To this day, Katie, you were still drinking every night. And where was it up above where you said, and we could not stop at 1 glass? You always say, I'll only have 1 glass, maybe 2, I can stop. Bullshit, we know you can't. We have seen you wasted on IG so many times. So many times. Adults with ADHD, anxiety or depression don't have to struggle with addiction and alcohol dependence. Therapy and medication can help individuals reduce anxiety, depression and stress related to the disorder. If you are worried you are dependent on drugs or alcohol, please consult your doctor and seek help. Don't fucking preach what you don't fucking follow through on yourself, bitch. No child deserves a parent that is drunk, hungover or addicted to alcohol. Binge drinking around children increases their risk of abusing alcohol as adults. Alcohol abuse also increases a parent's risk of abusing and neglecting their child. I knew I didn't want my child to become a statistic. So you can keep preaching your bullshit, but I'm here to call you out. Take charge of your life. I promise you will never regret putting yourself and child first. Find treatment and resources for alcohol and drug dependency here. Thanks. Thanks for that, Katie. Thanks.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.